everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and we are going to be making over this baby. Now, I had somebody donate this a while ago, and you know, from the perspective of a mid-century modern piece, it's lovely. So I had it in the shop as is to see if there was interest, because sometimes I get in trouble when I show things and then people go, it was lovely, why did you take it apart? Why did you paint it? Why didn't you, whatever. So nobody bought it. So I don't feel guilty anymore. Okay, I wouldn't have felt guilty in the first place, but I feel like there's no room for anybody to complain or be concerned about it, because I think I have fair dibs on it now. What I'm gonna try and do is take this baby apart. Now, it's got a gluey backing on the bottom here, but it's starting to come off. So, what I'm hoping is that I can kind of loosen things from there as well as from here. So, wrong drawer. Let me see if I can fit pliers up in there or not. This is definitely where my cord comes out. I just want to take all the hardware off of it. And, you know, potentially I can save that for something that, you know, this is the way it goes, right? You have a lamp and you take it apart to make it into something else. And then you take something else and make it into a lamp. I think there's a logic in there somewhere. Now that we've got this taken apart, we have to kind of MacGyver pieces together. We have to go looking for what pieces will maybe work for it. Now I kind of like it still up on this raised base, because if we've got this as, we're gonna make it a planter. So if we have it as a planter in our backyard, this square base is going to be more stable than that little round base. So we will attach those together. I'm just going to take it off because I think it might get too tall. Now, one of the things, so I went into my thrift stash, so my pile of, the pile that looks like it's junk, but it's not. It's junk waiting to become something. I had considered this, but even if I added layers, which I was looking at doing, it just kind of seemed off still. So the next thing that I looked at, so all these, I might as well take these stickers off everything because they're in their way anyway. So definitely thrifted. This was given, so it was $0. So the next thing that I thought was I have this, which originally used to be kind of like a hanging basket. And I don't think that, I mean, it's large, but I don't think the proportions are off once we add the base to this. But it's not gonna be easy to attach to that part. But it would be easy, not on you, on this part. So this is just like a little wooden coaster for almost like maybe like a glass cloche maybe or something. I could attach that on, and then I could nestle this in there and attach that to the wooden base. And then I have this old, now this isn't real silver, it's not even silver plate, they're just little coasters, metallic coasters. And I pick up some of these coasters whenever I see them just so that I can use them on stuff. But this fits right into there perfectly. So they'll have a flat bottom for a pot to go on, but then it'll serve to kind of hide a lot of my attachment. So just visually, it's there for visual appeal. So then I was thinking about colors. I don't want to have to paint this part necessarily, just because you know what, painting all this wire is kind of crazy. So I'm thinking I'm gonna leave it black. We're going into black and into darker colors anyway. And so the most that I'll do with this is a quick refreshing spray. All right. While that's happening, I'm going to get these attached, and I'm going to be using a combination of, okay, I have plastic, vinyl, metal, tile, leather, rubber. I have to go grab my E6000, and I'm going to use a number of bonding agents just to make sure that everything grips well. Okay, so for this base, I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and Gorilla Clear Grip, just because I want it to definitely adhere. So I'm going to put the E6000 around the base. There we go. Turn it upside down onto my base. And oh, I did a pretty good job right out the gate there. And then I'm actually, because I'm going to be painting over all this, I'm actually going to take some of the Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to take it around the outside of the base, because that'll all get covered as I paint. And I'm just going to spritz some water onto my fingers, so it doesn't all stick on me. Oh, stop. And I'm just going to take my finger around that edge and just smooth it out slightly. All right, now that's got to dry. I also want to fill in the holes where we took the handles from. So I'm going to, oh Lord, this is going to be, oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to take some, my wood fill just hardens too fast. So I'm going to take some wood fill, and I'm going to plug those holes. I'm going to do it, you can see that it sticks out more than I need. But I'll sand that down smooth once it's dry, so that that gets to harden on there. A little more for you. There we go. All right, that part's done. Now, I also want to get this all glued on top and have that drying. I'm not gonna glue this on yet. I'm gonna go spray paint it. Hopefully before I go, it's dry enough for me to touch, and then I can glue it onto, oh, I forgot. Okay, I also need to fill in the hole down here that our cord came out of. Oh, good thing I noticed that. That's where I don't notice those things. Then the next day I come in, I start sanding, and I realize, shoot, I forgot that one, and now I gotta wait for it to dry, and I lose a day. Okay, awesome, that makes me happy. And all we're gonna do is take both our glues, put them on here, glue that on the top, and go spray paint, give that a bit of a spritz. I'm also going to spray paint the top of this so that when we glue it down, it's also going to be in that matte black. The last thing that I decided that I'm going to do in terms of gluing right now is I have this costume jewelry bead necklace. Now, these are plastic. You know, I have Mardi Gras beads at home. If I had them here, I'd be using those. But what I want to do is I want to glue them around there. First of all, that's going to help cement even more. This, I think that this is a finish. Once we paint it, gives us a better edge than this overhang. It kind of completes it a little bit more. So I'm going to cut these apart because they're longer than I need. So, I mean, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the whole row on, and then I'll cut it on this end and just pull the string out because that's going to make my life easier. And all I'm going to do is put a bunch of the Gorilla Glue or the E6000 around, whichever. And you could use hot glue at this stage too. I'm just doing something a little bit stronger just so that nothing's popping off later. But all of that glue around the edge, so I'm just filling the gap with glue first too. So, you know, once you get a plant in here, there's going to be some weight. So any extra gluing that you do is just bonus. I've got the glue out a little bit farther than I need so that as I push the beads in, they're going to push the glue in. And then we'll just leave this part to dry overnight also. Rest of the necklace. There we go. Our big base has had overnight to be able to dry, and all of these elements are on really quite firm. I have taken a sanding block and sanded off the excess filler here. What we want to do before we start any of our paint finishes, this is, get my chair out of the way. This is a very slick surface, and I want to make sure, again, because there's going to be a big planter, people are probably going to be using this outdoors. I want to make sure that that finish is going to stick. So what I am going to do is do a coat of Ultra Grip. This is from Fusion, and what it does is it gives kind of almost like a matte surface, allows your paint something to be able to grip onto. Great for really shiny surfaces, melamines, that sort of thing. You can see in the container it looks white, and it will go on kind of milky, and it'll dry a little bit more clear than that, but it will definitely leave kind of a clouded effect behind, and that's perfect. I just want to make sure that any of my paints are going to be sticking to this. Didn't go through all this work for it not to work. You can see the finish on this. It's gone clear. It went on milky, then it dries clear, which is great because it allows you to be able to see where you've painted or not. And it's just taken some of that shininess away. So that's ready. What I want to do is I want to mix up the next step. Now, I want to get some paint on here, but I don't want it to be super new looking. I guess that's the best way to put it. I'm not looking for it to be super slick. There we go. I want it to have some texture. So we're going to mix up some texture. Now I'm using DIY paint. This is clay-based paint. This is Little Black Dress. And this stuff sticks to anything. It's very hardy, as you would expect clay. You've seen clay bake super hard in your yard, perhaps your garden. And so I'm going to mix it up with, and there's there's a spoon with some baking soda. So I'm going to create some texture. Now, you could use a fresco powder. Fusion has a fresco powder. You could use salt wash, which I don't carry, but other people carry it. So you could use salt wash to be able to mix this up. What any of them do, I've also used baking powder, by the way, which smells lovely when you mix it up. So what these do is they start to thicken your paint, and it allows you to be able to add texture. Now, the amount that you add, so my paint's gone to this, I need it thicker than that. So just add slowly until you get to the thickness that you want. You're gonna want different thicknesses for different applications, really, more than anything else. So it all depends upon what you're doing. If you wanna trowel it onto a wall or an entire dresser side or something, you're going to want one texture versus if you want to be stippling it and holding it stipple. So even when you have it in your container, if you're looking at it stippling and it's kind of in the very soft peak stage, it's not going to hold that stipple onto your project, right? So much the same as if you were whipping your eggs for meringue and you wanted to have some peak sticking up. If as soon as you pull your beater out, they all soften and flatten out, well, that's what your paint's going to do as well. So it's best to just kind of go slow. Otherwise, if you add too much, then you're adding paint and you just start going into you just keep trying to fix it and you end up with 3 times more mixed up than you need. So when you're getting close, slow down, just add little bits. So you can see that that's already gloppier, right? You can see that even on my spoon, those mounds are staying, right? They're holding their shape a little bit. I don't want it so stiff that it won't stick, right? It just wants to not go anywhere. But I definitely want enough. There we go. See how that's really slowed down? That means that I'm going to be able to get some things holding their shape on my piece. For this, move this on back. For this, I'm just using a chip brush. I just want an old brush that afterward I can toss. Now, the reason that I'm starting off with black is because if you remember, our plant cage or plant form at the top is in black. So I want to keep some of the color base consistent. So all that I'm going to do for this layer is I am just going to do a fairly substantial coat and I am just going to stipple it on. Now, I'm not doing it so that I have huge big peaks. Can you see the stipple? I just want that kind of texture. So I want it all sort of lightly textured on there. And I don't need to do the inside. I need to do that upper rim because they'd still see a little bit of it. But you can see how those beads just blend right in. And they just add another little textural element in an area on it that just might have looked a little bit off. It just helped kind of marry those pieces together and helped to make it look a lot more uniform, like it was meant to be there. Because this is painted with DIY paint, which dries lighter, it's not as intensively black as it will be when we go to seal it. Now, we could do a number of things with this at this point. We could just simply seal it. And if you're looking to do that, then make sure that you stop and think about where and how you're going to use it. You could use a wax, but then it is definitely only indoor use. If you use a regular polyacrylic, it also is for indoor use. So you need to go with an outdoor sealer if you have a hope of even being able to do it. Be able to use it outdoors. If I was just sealing this black right now, I would probably grab my spar. This is a marine coating. So this is the stuff that you would paint a boat with, which means it's pretty hardy outdoors. But I decided I didn't want to just do straight black. I wanted to try something, which was I wanted to add a little bit of brushed steel into my sealer. Now this is a paint by Fusion, so it has a built-in sealer, water-based. Spar, not water-based. You can't mix the two. It's not gonna work. So what I have instead is a Varathane product. This one happens to be in a satin finish, and this is rated for outdoors. It will not be as hardy as the Spar finish, but it will be pretty good. So I'm gonna pour some off. That'll be enough. That'll be enough to finish. That's all I guess. And I'm gonna take some of my brushed steel. Oh, are you? I put plastic on, but it's still, there we go. Just a little bang, just a little bang. And I'm gonna add a bit of this to my sealer. I don't want tons of it. I just want a little. And I haven't done this before. Oh, that was more than enough. All right, that's gonna be quite silver actually. All right, well, let's do this, and then maybe we need to do a black wash after it, maybe, because that's quite a lot. But we're gonna have to wait for it to dry because I don't know how translucent maybe the Varathane makes this. And, whoops, as you saw, oh, close call. As you saw, it was very opaque looking, but it dries clear. So maybe what I'm gonna do is start by kind of dry brushing it on a little bit first. And I have a chip brush here. Because I want some of that texture to show. So I'm kind of digging that look. We'll have to see how it dries. So I'm gonna get this, and I think I'm just gonna go completely solid. And if I need to go back and do a little bit of a black wash afterward to just add in some of that detail again, I will. But as much as I would love using wax on this, I just can't use wax if I'm using it outdoors. So make sure that you're clear in your head about where you intend to use your items and therefore what the appropriate finish is for it. The last step that I'm doing, and then allowing this to dry, is I have a little bit of a black glaze that I've mixed up for previous project. This was, maybe just back a tinge. This was the clear glaze from Fusion. So again, it seals mixed with a little bit of Fusion Coal Black. And what I'm doing is just kind of lightly brushing it over the top so that it's catching all of those highs. You can see that it's just bringing up a little bit of that detail. And I'm going to do that over the whole piece and then let this dry thoroughly overnight. It's had overnight to dry, and I have to tell you, I'm kind of loving the look of this with that silver and then that black glaze over it. Yeah, just kind of digging that. It's pretty cool. So the only other thing that I did was I lightly brushed the outside of this and the base with that silver outdoor poly, silverized outdoor poly. And so the last thing that I want to do, and I want to give it like all of today to be able to dry, is I definitely want to be able to affix this on. And I want to do it pretty strong. So I am gonna put some dabs of adhesive right on these spots, just so that we've got right where it comes in contact, definitely covered. And because we've got that little disc that's gonna hide all of our glue sins, I'm going to also, let me just put that off to the side. I'm also going to put wax of glue on the inside. So this is going to sit here like this, but what I want to do is make sure that we've got lots of glue in here. So I'm actually going to put it on the floor so I can reach it better. And we're going to put glue at each one of these little joints. We're going to put lots of glue. I'm going to use a combination of that construction adhesive, the clear grip from Gorilla, and of the E6000. I'm going to be gluing this down as well so that it covers a lot of what you can see in there. So we're going to make sure that this is going to stay put, and then leave it to dry. This, can't even fit it all in the frame here, but this is our finished planter. Now, ideally, you know, what you would do is, you could certainly just drop in a plant, but I would get maybe some coconut matting to line it, or some moss to line it, and then be able to actually plant into it, or at that point then drop in, you know, a big hanging plant and let that droop over the edge. But for me, you know, this is an old style lamp that there was no way that it was selling in the store. And in fact, I had it listed in the store just in case somebody was really into, one, the color, or secondly, kind of the mid-century modern look. But more often than not, they just get trashed. You know, the big square handles we took off, which kind of streamlined the shape. And I have to tell you, I really like how this finish turned out. So certainly I love the texture. I love having that little beaded rim in there too, that just kind of picks it up a little bit. It makes it look a little bit more finished and more unified. This is, you know, so attaching, you're not going to want to pick it up from this. So, you know, any customers, I'm going to suggest you pick it up this way, but it is going to be more than sturdy enough to be able to hold the planters. This has got a lot of weight to it, so it's not going to be blowing over. And it's just a great way to be able to pretty easily make over an old lamp that you can get for almost nothing. Okay, well, I did get this one for nothing, but you can get them for almost nothing thrifting, and be able to transform them into some pretty cool outdoor decor. Let me know what you think of this one. Let me know what you think of the finish. That was a new one, doing the brushed steel, so the silver into the actual top coat. But I think it's a great way to be able to use your top coat as a glaze. It eliminates one step. You're sealing as you go. The extra black glaze over top was black that we had mixed into a glaze, which is a top coat in and of itself. So it just kind of dulled it down a little bit, and it just gives it this cool look. So another finish to add into your little toolkit and arsenal. I love it way more than I ever loved the lamp. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and definitely looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.